check. All right, everyone. So welcome all of you to this particular session specific to web filtering troubleshoot. Okay. A lot of times when we are working on the Fortigate firewall, we tend to come into situations where user is coming up to ask or probably complain that he's not able to access some websites and he's not able to access some URLs which was working properly till yesterday and now it is not working. Or let's say, for example, a user is saying that the website is working, but then I'm not getting the full page. So it's the page is coming half sometimes, and if sometimes the rendering is not proper. So we are going to basically figure out that what needs to be done whenever we are trying to fix a problem which is more or less related to web filter or URL filter for that matter. Okay, so see, there are a couple of basic steps first of all which we need to follow, because a lot of times, see, at first thing is that web filtering is one particular UTM feature which is directly related to your licensing. If you have the right licensing, you'll have the access to it. If you do not have the licensing, or maybe let's say the connection is not proper, you might lose that web filtering feature. Okay, so there are a couple of basic steps, I should say, and there are a couple of process that you should be following whenever you are trying to fix a web filtering issue. That's what we are going to cover up today. So there are basically 8 steps. I've narrowed these down to 8 steps. Okay, so if you follow these 8 steps, 90% of the time your issue will be fixed. 10% is of course firmware issues, bug issues, or maybe some other issues. Factors which is not on the FortiGate, maybe some network device or maybe another firewall, maybe an ISP issue. So there can be chances over there as well, right? So let's give 10% to those, and 90% you'll be able to fix the issue. Okay, so that is what our today's target. That from tomorrow onwards, if there is a web filtering issue, you will know what to do. Alrighty. So first of all, let me just go ahead and give you like a trailer of what we are going to go through this whole session. Okay, so I've narrowed this down into 8 steps. All right. Now, what are those 8 steps? See, the first one is about something which is called as the contract or the UTM license. As I said earlier as well, that whenever you are trying to figure out or trying to fix a web filter issue, the first thing which you have to make sure is that your licensing or your FortiGate firewall is able to connect to your licensing servers, or let's say FortiGuard servers. Okay, because we all know that FortiGuard server is basically your SPOC or single point of contact when it comes to the licensing, when it comes to the updates, when it comes to getting downloading the signatures, right? So for everything you have to have a connectivity with one FortiGuard server, right? So a valid contract or a valid UTM license has to be in place. That's the first thing that needs to be checked. Okay. Now, what kind of situations or scenarios, people normally ask that, where or what are the cases I should be aware of when I'm trying to look for the licensing. If it is just one guy, should I be looking for it? See, honestly, the licensing or the UTM license is one thing which should be checked. If in case let's say you have a LAN segment, and that LAN segment users are not able to access a specific website, or let's just say all the websites, okay, they're not able to access it, then yes, of course, if you have a firewall policy which has web filtering, and if it is having a licensing issue, definitely they would lose the access. Okay, so if majority of the people are not able to access a couple of websites or all the websites, yes, first thing, check the licensing. Maybe it's just one guy or two guy, a couple of users. Still, I would say you should be checking it, but then there are factors which will be coming up next in our case. But then yes, if majority of the people are not able to access, first thing is the licensing. Okay, is it clear, all of you? Yes or no? Put it in the chat box, please. Okay, do let me know if you're not able to follow anything or whatever it is. Okay, put it there in the chat box. I'll keep an eye on there. Okay, so the first thing is the licensing. Second, okay, see, logical approach, I wanted to, make this as a second step is because a lot of times, whenever as an engineer, we are troubleshooting an issue, right? We try to, mix couple of things, or we try to always, follow some trial and tested steps and see if that happens to work for us. So basically what I'm trying to say is a lot of people, they try to blindly, go about fixing an issue. They have a couple of steps, they follow those steps. If it works, great. If it doesn't work, they probably try to move the case to maybe the next level, maybe the senior engineers, or maybe even to the NAC as well, right? So what I want to share with you guys is that you should always follow a logical approach whenever you're trying to figure out a problem. And it's just not with the web filter, it is with every other topic of the FortiGate. And it just not stops at the FortiGate. It could be anything, any network device, any firewall, any network security device that you can think of. If you're not following a logical approach, I will not say that you will not be able to fix the problem, but my point is, if you're logically approaching the problem, you will make sure that that kind of issues never happens again. Okay, you'll have a solution for the next time. Okay, so always follow a logical approach. And what is that logical approach? This is what we are going to discuss in this session. Step 3, diagnose, debug, rating. Okay, so see, whenever we are trying to troubleshoot, okay, as I said, first thing is check the licensing, right? Diagnose, debug, rating is another command which you can execute on the CLI that will help you to understand, whether your firewall is able to access the FortiGate servers or not. Okay, let's just take an example. Give me 1 second. Okay, see, this is one of the very, I mean, I should say, you should always check, you should always go through this 40 demo, or this is FortiGate 40 demo. Okay, it's a website. What they have done is that they have tried to give you an experience of how does a fully fledged FortiGate firewall looks like. Okay, with all the features and functionalities, how does it really look like? So I would probably say, go ahead and always try to use this and see if you're able to make sense, because not every time you may have your client may have all the features enabled. I mean, your client may not have all the features enabled. So this particular website always helps you with that. Okay, so the username password of this is demo. Okay. Use this just to just check all the features and functionalities that you can make use in the FortiGate. Now again, since it's a demo site, a lot of people from across the globe always, try to access it. Okay, so there are chances that the time that you are trying to access, there are millions of people who are also accessing it. So it could be a little slow. So just try and test what is the time frame where in your area it is working correctly. Okay, so just try and check that as well. Okay. Now, first thing is the diagnose debug rating, right? So as I said, that whenever you are trying to work with the firewall, the first thing is, let me go to the dashboard status. Okay. So we all know that the first step is to check the licensing, right? So if you look over here, we do have a licensing server. Okay, we have 172.243, 140.6. That's the FortiGate, or should I say FortiGuard server, right? And if you look over here, it has a FortiGate support. Okay, we have an antivirus which is till to 2025. Good. We have an outbreak prevention. We have the general updates, and then we do have the web filtering as well. Okay, so this is good. So I do know that okay, my web filtering would work. Okay, and it has connectivity to the FortiGate server as well, FortiGuard server as well. Okay. Now the third step was diagnose debug rating, right? So if you come over here in the top right section, there's something which is called as the CLI console. Okay, so if we click on this, from the browser itself, you will get a CLI console. Okay. Now over here, you need to execute this command, which is called as diagnose debug rating. Okay, and once you do this, you hit enter. Okay, so the first thing that you should be looking over here is that the service is web filtering and the status has to be enabled. Okay, always make sure of that. License, there should be a contract license for it. Okay, anti-spam is entirely different thing. So just ignore that for now. Okay, and look over here. It says number of servers and it says 3. What it means is that you have 3 servers to cater to the FortiGuard updates or FortiGuard queries of the web filtering queries or the web filtering live queries which it generates. These are the 3 servers that will cater to those needs. Okay. Now the next thing is that protocol. So see, a lot of times, and a lot of you guys might have a different firmwares, right? Different firmwares means that you would have, let's say somebody is having 5.4, which is quite old, but then there's still people who are using it. So let's say you have 5.4, somebody has 5.6, somebody has 6.0, somebody even have, let's say 7.2, which is the latest one, right? So what you have to check over here is the protocol as to which protocol is it using. Is it TCP, UDP, HTTP, HTTPS, whatever it is? Because you have 3 options with the web filtering that which particular protocol you can use. Okay. Now there are so many chances at times that your protocol is blocked somewhere on the upstream, and then that is causing the problem. Okay. So this happens a lot. So you have to first of all be very sure and clear what protocol are you using. So if it is HTTPS, it has to be 443. If it is let's say UDP, it could be 53. Okay, so there are so many ports that you can use. One is 8888. You can use UDP 53. You can use TCP 443. Okay, these are the ports that you can use. If you want to write this down, please do. UDP 8888. Again, this is for old firmware versions. The latest one works on TCP 443 or your UDP 53. Now, again, it will anyway tell you that which particular protocol you are using or which particular port you are using. Okay. Default servers, to give you a one-liner answer. See, default server basically means these guys. Okay, there you do have an option to use your own private server as well, or you can use your own local server and make it as a FortiGuard server. Okay, which we can talk about later, but as of now, just think about this as when you say default server, you mean the actual internet available FortiGuard servers. Okay, that is what the default server means. If you are trying to make a local server which would act as a FortiGuard server, you can do that as well. Now see, once you look into the server list, right? This is the place where you have to figure out that what is the time frame or which time frame this is getting updated. If it is just within 30 minutes or 15 minutes of time frame of when you executed this, it's good. But if it is a longer duration, maybe 2 hours or 4 hours, not good. You need to check the connectivity. Okay. Now, next is the IPs, and look over here. This is the IP, right? Once you get this IP, you have something which is called as wait. Okay, then you have something which is RTT flags, TZ, FortiGuard. Okay, now see, although this is all part of the NEC 7, but then I wanted to share this with you is because a lot of times web filtering issues do comes up, right? So you should know what kind of what does these values mean. Okay, see, wait basically means that which particular IP will be preferred. Lesser the weight, better it is. So if it is all zero, it could basically use any one of them. Okay. RDT is when you are trying to communicate with one of the servers, and then for some example, it is timing out. Okay, maybe upstream router is blocking the traffic. Maybe some maybe a router on the ISP level is blocking the traffic. So if that's the case, you can get an RTT. Okay, if it is zero or if it is lower the better it is basically. Okay. Now we have something which is called as flags. See, flags is if you have D and if you have I, okay, this is good. Why? Because I basically means that you are initiating the traffic, and D basically means that you are, taking the, you're actively, querying the server. If it is D, that's great. If it is D, but if it is coming with F, F means fail. Fail basically means that you are trying to communicate with the server. The server is reachable, but then the server is not responding to you for some reasons. Okay, then only you'll get a fail. Otherwise, you'll get a RTT. See, if your server, see, if you are not able to reach to the server, your RTT value will increase. But then if you are able to reach the server, and then for some reason the server is not responding to you, then you will get a fail. Is this clear? All of you, yes or no? Chat box. Good. So fail is whenever you are trying to communicate with the server, but the FortiGate server is not giving you a response back. So that is why fail. If it is D, good. If it is I, good. Okay. Time zone. Again, time zone is basically when you have, whatever server that you're trying to communicate. So let's say, for example, this guy, okay, or this guy. Which time zone are they part of? Again, whichever is the closest one will be preferred. All right. So now zero basically means that the servers are basically in the same time zone, and all of them are able to cater to the needs. That's why it's all zeros. Now, FortiGuard request. This basically talks about that how many requests have you sent to that particular server. Okay. So over here you can see there are 880 requests. On the second one, which we have 908, and on the third one we have 269. That's fine because it is failing, and hence we are not sending any more requests. Okay. Let's execute the same command once more and see if it makes any difference. Okay. Do we have the same values, or is it is it changing? So timers. Yeah, this happens a lot. Okay, because again, as I said, that this is being accessed by a lot of people, so sometimes it tends to lose the connection. Yeah, so if you look over here now, the values is a little bit different, okay, as compared to previously. Yeah, 880, 900, and 269. So now you have 903, 912, and 273. So a little bit more, right? So again, FortiGuard request is if you are getting a lot of requests, great, good to know. This should always be zero. Okay, because if you're losing the traffic, or if you're losing the packets, this basically means that you are not able to communicate properly with your FortiGate server. Okay, and the only reason you will have this current lost is when you do not have a license. Are you able to follow me? So when you do not have a license in place, okay, this current lost will be increasing because the server will deny the connection. The server will not entertain your request. So that's why it will be covered up in lost. Okay, and total lost, again, it will just add up to the values of the total. Okay, and the next one is the time frame, where you will be able to know that what was the last of which was the last time frame when it requested for a query. Okay, so I know that 856 was the last time, both for both of them. Okay, now before I move forward, is this clear, guys? Are you able to follow this much? Are these values understandable? Are these columns? Are you able to follow this up? Any doubts, any questions with respect to these before I move ahead? Good. Okay. Good to know. Now, the next thing is that once we get into the diagnose debug rating, we just wanted to make sure. See, diagnose debug rating in some way or the other is related to your step one, right? Do you have the valid content license or not, right? So, diagnose debug rating helps you understand that whether you are able to communicate properly or not, and whether you have the right licensing or not. Okay, let's look into this next step, which is called as DNS connectivity. See, web filtering is all about website URLs, right? abc.com, xyz.com, facebook.com, Instagram, YouTube, Yahoo, whatever it is. It's all DNS resolutions, right? If your DNS is having a problem, I mean, of course, the issue will come up with the web filtering, right? So once you understand, or once you have completed this, that okay, there's no problem with the licensing, just look for the DNS. Look for whether your DNS is whether you're able to reach the DNS at the first place, whether the user machine is able to reach the DNS. A lot of times the user machine is not able to reach the DNS, or let's say the user machine is sending the DNS request, but there is no reply coming back, right? If that's the case, still same problem. So see, it says execute ping 1.1 or execute ping 10.10. What I mean over here is that your DNS, as per your client's environment, it can either be a public IP, or it can also be a private IP or a private DNS server. Now, in 99% of the case, it's always a private DNS server. But those private DNS servers are mostly used for internal communication, internal websites, right? But then you can also use that internal DNS server for publicly accessible content as well, right? So, for example, Fortigate, all right, Fortigate.com is a publicly accessible content. YouTube.com, Yahoo.com, Facebook, Instagram, all these things are publicly accessible. So you can also use your private DNS server to resolve IPs which is available on the public. You can do that. Yes, 99% of all the people, all the clients basically do this. Yeah. So what you have to do over here is, first of all, check whether you have the right DNS connectivity or not. If you do not have the DNS connectivity, if you're not able to ping the DNS, okay, there can be issues. Now there is an exception. What is the exception? Exception is that couple of companies or couple of organizations or clients, they disable the ping. Okay, so what happens is that if you disable the ping and you try to communicate or try to ping a certain destination, that ping is going to fail. So you will not be able to identify whether your whether the connectivity is the problem, or the ICMP is blocked in the network. Okay, so again, if ICMP is blocked or ping is blocked in your network, then pinging will not really help you. Okay, so I'm basically sharing both sides of the story. If you are able to ping and if you're not able to ping. Okay, so if you are able to ping, great, you know whether you have the layer 3 connectivity or not. If you do not have the layer 3 connectivity, again, it could be a challenge. If your ICMP is not blocked in your network, if your ICMP is blocked in the network, move on to the next step. Okay, now the next is DNS resolution. See, first thing, we have to make sure that whether we are able to reach, as in from the layer 3, do we have the connectivity or not. Once you are able to ping that DNS server, we do understand that okay, we do have the layer 3 connectivity. Okay, great. So let's go ahead and try to, resolve something. Let's try to understand whether we are able to ping something on. So let's say we'll do this execute ping www.google.com. Okay. Or, execute www.fortinet.com. Okay. What I mean over here is that you should be able to resolve from the FortiGate firewall. Okay. You should be able to resolve your publicly accessible content. Okay. That is why you need to make sure that the DNS resolution is working for you. Because if the DNS resolution is not working for the FortiGate firewall itself, web filtering is like a byproduct. It will never work for you because web filtering requires DNS resolution, right? Web filtering is all about fully qualified domain names, FQDNs, right? Or URLs. So those will anyway not work if your DNS is not working, if your DNS resolution is not working. Okay, clear all of you? Yes or no? Give me a quick yes or no in the chat box. Good. Okay, moving on to step 7. Now, over here, you have to so once you make sure that your layer 3 connectivity with the DNS is fine, you are able to resolve google.com and facebook.com as well. So pretty sure DNS is not a problem. You're able to you're able to reach that. Okay, let's try to understand that what exactly. Let's be specific, because till now it was more like a generic troubleshooting, a generic understanding of what needs to be done. Okay, but from now onwards it would be more like specific. Okay, a little specific to the FortiGate firewall. So now we are going to basically check the connectivity or resolution with respect to the FortiGate servers. Okay, so over here we have to do a couple of ping tests. Okay, what kind of ping test? These three. Please write this down, all of you. See, what happens is that these three fully qualified domain names that you see, FQDNs, which is service.fortinet.net, update.fortinet.net, and uh, pingguard.fortinet.net. What happens is that, sorry, guard.fortinet.net. What happens is these three are major URLs which helps every FortiGate reach the FortiGate server. Service.fortinet.net, update.fortinet.net. These two are responsible for all your FortiGate queries, all your web filtering queries. Okay, these two has to be resolved. If it is not getting resolved by your private DNS server, then the resolution or the fix is that you should be your DNS server should know the IP addresses that is required for the FortiGate servers. The question is, how will I know that? It's pretty simple actually. What you do is you use a public DNS server and then you ping. You'll get to know the IP addressing. Once you know the IP addressing, you should add those IP addressing in your private DNS servers as well. Okay, that's what you do. And yeah, so service.fortinet and update.fortinet, they have to get resolved from your private DNS server. And if it is public DNS server, great. I mean, you do not need to worry about that. Okay, so again, FortiGate connectivity and resolution, you have to be very specific. See, service.fortinet is service.fortinet caters to the need of licensing. Okay, is your FortiGate licensed or not? Is it having the right UTM license or not? Okay, service.fortinet checks that. Update.fortinet is more about downloading updates, antivirus updates, web filtering updates, IPS updates, application database. Okay, all these things. So for them, you need update.fortinet. Service.fortinet is more about licensing. Do you have the right license? Is your license valid? Is it a UTM license? Is it 24/7? All these things. Is it clear, all of you? Give me a yes or no in the chat box. Okay. So this is like mandatory steps that you should be following whenever there is a web filtering issue. Okay, what happens is that slowly and gradually you become so well versed with all these things that you quickly jump on to, you know, a couple of steps rather than going from one, then two, then three, then four, then five. You can quickly jump to, let's say, third or five or seven. Okay, but again, practice is what you need. Moving on, step eight. See, what happens is that a lot of times, if you have done all the testing and troubleshooting till now, and still for some reasons you are not able to access the FortiGate servers, the first thing that we need to check is that the ports are those ports blocked anywhere? Okay, and how will you check that? Let me show you. See, you can come into let me you go into the system and you go into the FortiGate. Click over here. Okay, so see, it'll anyway tell you that whether the licenses are there or not, right? This is anyway we have checked this. Okay, so if you come to this particular location, your two and three, your couple of steps will be verified over here as well. Licensing, yes, you do have the license. Okay, do you have the connectivity? Yeah, we do have the connectivity as well. Okay, so see, service, FortiCare, FortiCloud, FortiGuard.com, FortiGuard download. So you can see, you know, that 44 MB of data has been downloaded from FortiGuard.com. 104 MB of data has been downloaded. Okay, so you can see FortiGate query. So this is your FortiGuard query is your web filtering. So 109 kbs of queries is done, which is absolutely correct, and it helps you understand whether the problem is uh, more on the FortiGate side, on the firewall side, or is it more like on the more on the DNS side, or maybe it's a user problem, it's a client problem, or it may be a Windows problem as well. Okay, so if you're able to see these connectivities, if you're able to see, you know, the traffic is going up and down, then yes, not really a problem on the FortiGate, could be a problem on the client machine or maybe a DNS server issue. Yes, a configuration, sorry, a misconfiguration, of course, that's always there. Now see, whenever you are looking for a FortiGate update, okay, although by default it is automatic. Now automatic is more like every hour or every 2 hours, something like that. Let me see. Yeah, see, it says update automatically within every 1 hour. Okay. Now again, I'll not deny the fact that you know, having checking the queries every hour or checking the licensing every hour is a good thing, but I'll also not say that it's a bad thing. Again, it's all depends on the customer or the client, how much paranoid he is when it comes to network security. If he's not, then if you take it about 4 to 8 hours, it's fine. Okay. If he is really paranoid, 1 hour is 1 hour or 2 hour or 3 hours is actually good. Okay. Now, from purely from a technical perspective, I'll probably say go with every and make it anywhere between 6 to 8 hours. Okay. Either you go with the 6 hours or you go with the 8 hours, maximum 9. Do not go above 9 or maybe 10 hours or 12 hours. What happens is that, see, millions of new updates and signatures are being created, right? So across the globe, so every 2 hour or a 3 hour window is a good amount of time to check whether you have any recent updates or not. Okay, every 1 hour is again it's fine, but then it's going to be a little bit you know, I don't know, repetitive. Okay, but 3 hour window to 5 hour window is actually good enough. Okay, so if you take anything over there, it's good. And those days are gone where we used to use daily. I don't know why they're still keeping use this, because if you're taking update every 24 hours, I'm not saying this is wrong. All I'm saying is that uh, the frequency of malicious content being created on the internet is millions of times ahead, as you know, taking an update every 12 hours or 24 hours. Okay, so it's again, I mean, you if you want to, you can absolutely do it, but then I'll probably say anything between 3 to 5 hours is a better option to go for. Okay, weekly, I don't know why they are even having this option. You should not have this option at all. So update server location. So use it says lowest latency locations, okay, and restricted to, so you can either restrict it to the US or the Europe locations. Lowest latency is a better option because it is not always necessary that your firewall will be in the Europe location or a US location. It can also be in Asian location. So if it is an Asian location and you're pointing it to US, it's a long way to go, long distance, right? So always use lowest latency. That's the better way to use, or better option to use. Now see over here, there is something which is called as filtering. Do you see this? Maximize this, and this is the place where you have to figure out whether this is actually working or not. You see this filtering service availability, and it says web filtering, and it says the green check mark. Okay, so green check mark is basically good. This basically means your FortiGate firewall is able to connect. Okay, that's good. All right. If you go for a test connectivity, it will basically say that okay, I'm trying to connect to the network and see if it is working or not. Okay, so it will again come up and say that hey, yeah, it is working. A web filter cache is like if somebody is accessing google.com, okay, and after 5 minutes somebody else is also accessing google.com. After 10 minutes or 15 minutes again somebody is accessing google.com. Okay, so rather than FortiGate firewall every time checking the FortiGate server on the internet for the website query, it will cache that particular website and it will store it in the cache for 60 minutes. So if there are, let's say, 1000 connection coming for google.com, okay, it will not create another 1000 connections for the FortiGuard server to check whether those are legitimate or not. Why? Because it is already checked on the FortiGate firewall and it is catching that particular website as well. So it is going to give that information. Now from Google, if you're going somewhere else, that will be a unique request, and that unique request will be taken or will be handled accordingly. Okay. Is this clear, all of you? Are you able to understand and follow me? Give me a yes or no in the chat box, please. Any questions, any doubts, do let me know. Now, the next thing is the FortiGate filtering service. Now, again, the latest versions are using port 443, right? Now, the port 443 is used because a lot of customers have complained that using a custom port create issues in the network, and a lot of time ISP blocks custom ports. Okay, and if it is not genuine, they block it. So what happens is they end up having a lot of challenges. So keeping all these things in mind, the FortiGate has basically given this option that you can also, so I'm not saying you cannot use custom mode, you can use it, but by default you will be using port 443, which is absolutely fine, to be honest. Now see, if everything fails and you're not really sure what is happening, then go with these last two commands, which is called as diagnose debug application URL filter -1. Okay, and then try to check what is happening. Let me show you. Let me give you a little glimpse of what I'm talking about over here. Okay, um, okay, hold on. Let me quickly power on my device over here, and then let's talk. One 192, 168, 171, 135. Okay, all right. Give me one sec. Okay, so I'll log into the if ng over here. Uh, So let me run my Fortigate firewall. So it is powering on. Let's log in admin system. So we have 192.168. I'll show you what you can do with these two commands. Okay. So diagnose debug application URL filter, right? So diagnose debug application filter. Now see, if you do a question mark over here, it says debug level, right? So -1 is like everything. I want to see everything. That's why -1. Okay, so it says debug messages for 30 minutes enabled, right? Now let's look over here. Done. Then you have diagnose debug URL test, and then you have the. So I'll copy this up. I'll do a diagnose debug enable first so that I can see the messaging coming up. And then there you go. Diagnose debug, URL filter, test URL, and then facebook.com. Okay. Now I think this. Okay. Yeah. Hold on. First thing is to. I'll show you what I'm trying to do over here. So config system interface and it put one. Okay. I'll show you first. See, it is HTTPS only, right? So if I have to log into the GUI, I have to enable HTTP as well. Just for the evaluation license, you have to do. You do not need to do it on your production environments. Okay. So set allow access. So, okay. So I'll quickly create a web filter string over here. The URL filter, create new, and it says star dot Facebook. Say block that, right? So I'll enable a policy. In the meantime, let me power on my Windows machine as well. Uh, Okay, so port 3, port 1, keeping it on. Now over here, I'll enable the web filtering. Okay, that's the default one that we're going to use. So we have the Facebook.com blocked over here, right? Sections, right? So we do have a policy up and running as well. Now just to cross verify web filtering default. Yeah. Oh, so let me uncheck this. What happened? I did create this. Okay, star.facebook.com. And you do a wildcard. You block this up. Okay, done. Okay. Yep. Just quickly checking. Should not be missing out anything over here. So yeah, click on edit. Again, I'm just verifying this. Yeah, it's perfect. Okay. So coming over here, let's run this guy as well. Okay, there we go. Okay. See now what's happening is that over here it is trying to show you what exactly this guy is doing. Okay, so start URL relay master. So basically URL relay master is nothing, just the internal engine trying to communicate. Okay, look over here, it's trying to update itself with the IP address of 173, sending init request. Do you remember the I in the diagnose debug rating? That is what it is, init. Okay, init is when you're initiating the connection. Okay, do you know why this is coming up timing out? Because I don't have a license. It's an evaluation license. Okay, free trial license. It does not work for me, right? So that's why you'll get this. Again, if you're also getting an init request and it is timing out, just make sure whether you have the right licensing. If you still have the license, still not working, still saying the same errors, it's 100% upstream device which is blocking the request. 100%. Okay. Now, see this SSL client hello, right? So it is trying to make a connection. That's what it is trying to do. So I'll give an IP address over here just to let you. I'm giving an IP address over here as well. Script paying. Okay. Oh, my switch was not on. Okay, hold on. Okay, so this is done. I should be able to ping this guy now. Okay, let's try this again. Yeah, very good. Yes. Okay, so I'll also ping 1.1.1.1 and ping. Okay, great. So I do have access. Now let's try the Facebook and see what do we get. See, it's dropped. Okay, packet is dropped, but net, right? What I want to show you now is it showing me packets for Facebook? So this init request is basically, trying to update itself with the licensing, which is not going to happen at all, right? Because I do not have the licensing, right? Now, I'm just trying to see whether it is also sending some traffic for Facebook. Yeah, let's try. Let's see. Although the Facebook is not working because it's a static, yeah, secure connection failed because I have created a static entry over here. Admin if mirror and for all policies, you should be able to see the traffic as well. So if I go into the logs and reports and web filtering, you see this? It is getting blocked. Yeah. I wanted to show you guys over here as well that whether it is giving you the debug output for that as well, but then for some reason it is not. Anyways, my point over here, if you look over here closely, this basically tells that it is trying to update these guys, which is ref filter, anti-spam, okay, virus outbreak prevention, and it is failing with this IP address, right? Why? It is init request, and it is basically trying to make a connection, trying to initiate a connection, but it is timing out. Why is it timing out? Again, we do not have a license in place, right? So this debug output basically talks more about what the FortiGate firewall or the web filtering engine is doing at the backend. Okay. Now again, if you have a registered device, it will basically show you much more information. Try it out. Okay, maybe when non-production hours, try it out in the non-production hours and see what all you get. Okay, for me, it is stopping at evaluation license because I do not have a licensing in place. So it is just only show me that only. But in your production environment, it will let you share information a lot more in detail. Okay, so try it out and you let me know. Okay, now, so this were the step 8. Okay, this is basically, if you follow these 8 steps, okay, you will, in 90% of the cases, you'll figure out the problem. Is it on the firewall itself? Is it a misconfiguration on the firewall? Is it a problem on the ISP side or on your upstream device? Where exactly the problem lies? Okay, and then also if it is a client side issue or not. Okay, so with these 8 steps, you'll be able to figure out what needs to be done and what is the problem. Where is the problem and how do you fix it? If it is something on the FortiGate, you can definitely configure it, right? And if it is not on the FortiGate firewall, you'll also know that okay, where exactly the problem is and how to fix the problem as well. Okay, so these 8 steps is going to help you out with the whole concept over here. Okay. Now, before I conclude the session, I just want to ask you guys any questions with respect to web filtering, anything that you want to talk about, maybe a question or maybe a topic that you want me to, create a session, maybe next week. Anything, any questions you have? Okay. All right. So let's see, let's do one thing. Then I'll conclude the session for today. Okay. What I want from you guys is that just go through it again, if in case you feel like you want to understand the 8 steps once more. If in case you want to want me to create another session, maybe something on a similar topic or maybe on a different topic altogether, use the link. Okay, you guys have the link with the Google form link. Just put your questions or doubts over there. I'll give my best. I'll give my 100%, and every week I'm going to create some videos to help you guys on your job. Okay, so just keep on asking questions, and I'll keep on creating videos for that, so that it will basically help you on your job, maybe or for your examination, maybe to just enhance your skill set as well. So whatever it is, you let me know, and I'm going to help you out with that. Okay. Till that time, thank you so much to all of you, and I'll see you guys next week. Till that time, have a great week ahead. Good night. Bye bye.